Good evening, class. Yeah, thank you once again for joining our classes, which are very, very important as we are on a ride, as we are on a long journey, on a marathon journey to learn and understand about God and how He works around the universe and how He wants us to understand Him, how He wants us to have knowledge about Him. It's very important. There is no way. That's why the Bible says Ahasuerus, he had men who were deeply schooled in protocol. King Ahasuerus of Persia, he in his court, he had men who were very deeply schooled in protocol. Those men were his courtiers. So today we're going to be looking at a very interesting topic, very important topic, called measure for measure. Measure for measure is I can simplify it as saying what you sow is what you get, is what you reap. So measure for measure. We need to be to live in this universe. We need to have balance. We need to live to have harmony and balance with nature and everyone and everything that we know. So measure for measure is our topic today, and we are getting this topic from Jesus' words. Very classic words from Jesus. He said, "Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and thou shalt be forgiven. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall men give into your bosom. So for the same measure that you met without, it shall be measured back unto you." This verse coming from Luke 6, verse 37. This is Jesus' words. Measure for measure. For the same measure that you met without, it shall be the same measure that is going to be measured against you, all for you. Even when it comes to kindness to animals, our greatest Kabbalist, the Ari lion, Rabbi the Ari, was very careful not to kill a bird, even a louse. Even if he was beaten, he was very careful not to kill any of the lowliest, smallest creatures, such as fleas, such as lice, flies, and the like. He was saying, I don't have that duty to kill, because measure for measure, I don't want to be killed, so I cannot kill. So regarding animals, it is mentioned in the Zohar that no creature was created purposelessly. It is therefore forbidden to kill purposelessly, as the sages state, unless the animal is intruded into your place of residency. Otherwise, we have no reason of killing anything. So all that the holy and blessed be he created only for his honor. As it is written, all that is called in my name and in my honor, I created it, I formed it, I have even made it for myself. That's Isaiah 43 verse 7. So we need to understand that whatever we do on this universe, whatever we do on this earth, it's either a positive impact or a negative impact to ourselves. So be very careful in this universe. It's like when you're given a room at a hotel, you can't, even if you pay, you can't just, paint it when you're leaving the next day. Leaving graffiti, it's not allowed. It's not yours. So the universe is not ours. So we must live in harmony and balance with nature and everyone we know. And we know our sages say, they gave a comment to say, his enemies will also make peace with. Meaning to say, Proverbs 6 and verse 7. Some say that the enemies being referred to in the Torah are animals, like the lions, like the dogs. Others think they are snakes. And still the Bible says, when you are connected to God above, you are not to be afraid of snakes, nachash, snakes, or here on the earth, or in this universe. So to just enthuse on that one, there were two sages the other day. Two sages were walking and came across a snake. Sangat nenyoka. a snake, Nachash. So the other sage was about to kill it. And the other friend told him, not, don't do that. When the other protested, saying that this is a dangerous creature, the other sages quoted the verse, interpreting it to mean that a snake only bites if God whispers to him to do so. When God says, the snake, you must bite someone, that's when it can bite. How many people were bitten by snakes in the Bible that we know? Except those ones in the wilderness with Moshe. So the problem is when we are connected above, we have no danger below. The issue is we are connected on earth. We are connected here on earth, and we are detached from connectivity from above. But when we are connected above, there's no harm here below. So one day the Rebbe told a story when he was climbing the mountain to offer a sacrifice in form of a prayer. So he would climb a steep mountain to purify himself by immersing in a spring of water. So he would do the immersion. Even snow and ice, he would climb steadily without any problem. So the townspeople were shocked. They thought this was a miracle. How could someone climb on a steep precipice, on a steep slope? But a few young men were baffled, and they said, no, we need to do it. One winter day, they followed the Rev. They followed the rabbi to see how he could climb easily on such a steep precipice, a steep slope, just so that they would climb the same easy as this rabbi. So they followed him, they climbed, and of course they slipped and fell. So when they fell, the young man asked the rabbi, how do you do it? Like, why don't you fail? Why don't you fall? We fell, but why don't you fall? When you are connected, the rabbi said, when you are connected above, answered the rabbi, you don't fall down below. When you are connected above, you don't fall below. So the issue that we have in this world, the reason why we are always having issues in this universe is that we are not connected from above. We are connected from below. Now, when you are connected from below, you fall. So because the way a person acts is the way that God acts towards that person. So Samson went after his eyes. It's measure for measure. Samson went after his eyes, telling his father that he wanted to marry for beauty. That's it. I want to marry for beauty. I don't want to have kids. I want to marry for beauty. And so the Philistines poked out his eyes. We have Absalom, the son of David Amalek, was conceited about his hair, his long hair. So he was hung by his hair, measure for measure. We have stories like stories of Jacob and Esau, a god for a god. The following story is coming from the Zohar. So this issue discusses about what happened after the brothers pulled Joseph out of the pit. The brothers of Joseph, when they pulled him out of the pit into which they had thrown him and they had sold him to the caravan of the Ishmaelites and the Midianites. The Midrash says Reuben, the oldest brother, had secretly planned to return Joseph safely to his father, but he had to leave to attend to some other issues. When he returned and discovered that Joseph had been sold to the Ishmaelites, he decided to go and tell Jacob, and Joseph had been killed. So they decided, what do? So they decided to take Joseph's tunic, slaughtered a kid goat, and dipped the tunic in the blood. What would they do? So they took a kid goat, slaughtered it, then put the tunic, the cloth in the blood. This is found on Genesis 37, verse 31. So the rabbis taught that they did this because of the blood of a goat that Jacob used when he deceived his brother. So because the blood of a goat is similar to human blood, this is found on Bereshit Rabbah. Bereshit Rabbah is a commentary in chapter 84, verse 19. So although Jacob had acted properly in following his mother's directives to acquire Isaac's blessing instead of Esau. Nevertheless, because he brought a kid God to deceive his father, he was held responsible for the consequences. So a God is from the side of harsh judgments, from Gevurah. And so when Jacob used it to deceive his father Isaac, who is also the same aspect, he was punished by the blood of that God. That's why his sons took the tunic of Joseph and dipped it in the blood and said, this is the cloth, this is the tunic of your son Joseph. So Jacob deceived his brother Esau. And he was again deceived by his sons. So this is measure for measure. What you do to other people, what goes around comes around. So Pharaoh commanded his people to drown the Israelites boys in the waters of Nile. That's what Pharaoh did. Pharaoh. Later, his own army perished down by drowning in the Red Sea in pursuit of the Israelites. We know the story of Haman was also incensed with Mordecai for not bowing down to him, that he built a gallows to have him hanged, to have Mordecai hanged, or to have Mordecai hung on the gallows. In the end, he was forced to lead Mordecai on a horse to honor him, and was hanged on his same gallows. So it's very important that when we are living in this world, we need to live in harmony and balance with nature. Don't be, some people are, we know what we do. Let's all be good Samaritans. Because whatever you do will come back to you. It's called the boomerang effect. Whatever you do will come back to you. So what caused Absalom's untimely death while fleeing a donkey? He rode under a tree and one of the limbs caught his hair. Why did he emit this demise? Through his hair. 2 Psalms 18 verse 9. Absalom had beautiful hair, and the rabbis claimed that it to be the seed of his pride. He was very prideful. He had pride, this young man Absalom, which eventually blossomed into open rebellion against David. So he died because of his hair. Again, there's a story in the Ethics of the Fathers, the Avot. We can read this on Avot 2 verse 6. With Hillel Hagadol, Hillel Hanasi, Hillel the rabbi, apparently made a remark while passing by some water and seeing a corpse floating in it. He said, because we had drowned others, they've drowned you. And those who drowned you will they themselves be drowned. Interestingly, he knew, Hillel knew that this guy was drowned. So he was saying, you drowned others because he was a robber. Now you've been drowned. So the issue to do with measure for measure is very important. Once again, if you read Matthew 6 verse 12, there's an excerpt from the Lord's Prayer. Jesus said that to his disciples, we must forgive others in order to be forgiven by God. That's mida kneged mida. Nida kneged mida, mean to say measure for measure. Jesus endorsed and employed this principle always. When we forgive others, God forgives us. When we show mercy to others, God will show mercy on us. When we are gracious to others, God is gracious to us. When we bless others, God will bless us. Each of these represents a responsible application of mida kneged mida, meaning measure for measure. So if you are a positive person with a positive mental attitude, when you uplift other people, God will uplift you. When you make people happy, God will make you happy. When you do it otherwise, you suffer. So there's a story that I want to link to this issue, to this presentation about an otter. This story is found in the book of Solomon, the book of King Solomon. An otter is a freshwater carnivorous mammal. An otter, O-T-T-E-R, is a freshwater carnivorous mammal with webbed feet, kind of. But it's an otter. An otter eats other animals in the water. So the story is around that. So from the book of Solomon. It teaches about measure for measure. What you do to other people will come to you. So Mr. Otter, let's call this guy Mr. Otter, this animal Mr. Otter. It's a freshwater carnivorous animal. It preys, it eats other animals in the water, or in the sea, or in the ocean, body of water. So about to go fishing one day, the otter was reluctant to leave her children unattended. So she devised a plan. So she asked the deer to watch over them, over the young kids of otter, offering 10 portion of the catch. So the otter said to the deer, "No, I'll give you some catch on my return." So the deer agreed. The deer didn't see any danger. It's okay, let's go, let's do it. So the deer agreed, and the otter slid into the river and swam off in search of fish. Because you remember, the otter eats fish. So now they swam into the river. Now the otter, and the deer was taking care of the otter's children. Several hours passed. The deer longed by the water, keeping an eye on the otter's children. So the deer was watching, was for an incentive. For the otter, it said, if I happen to have a catch, I will share. So the deer was very honest to take care of the children of Madam Otter. Suddenly a drumming filled the air. Gong, 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 gong. A drum. The woodpecker was beating on the war gong. The woodpecker, Chigogoza, was beating on the war gong. Gong, gong is the bell for war. Gong, 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 signifying that war is started. So among the denizens of the river, the dwellers of the river, the deer was chief dancer. The deer was chief dancer. So he sprang to his feet and performed the war dance. But in his frenzy, he accidentally trod upon the young otters, the children of Madam Otter, because this was dancing. Because when he heard the bell for the war, signifying the war, the deer started to dance, and unfortunately trembling them to death, the children of Otter. So when the otter returned, she found the babies and the bodies of her children dead. How did this happen? She cried. The woodpecker beat on the gong. The deer said, the woodpecker beat on the gong, on the war gong, said the deer. And I performed the war dance and inadvertently trod on your children. I'm very sorry, but it was not me. I hit the bell for the war, so I thought I should prepare for war. So dancing is my duty, dancing is my job. Sorry, said the otter. And then by sorrow, she wept, the otter. Now it happened that King Solomon, King Solomon was there. Remember, I'm referring to King Solomon, because King Solomon knew the language of mountains. He could speak the language of rivers. He could speak the language of animals. He could speak the language of trees. From a hyssop in Lebanon to a cactus tree in Jerusalem. You could do that, Solomon. So when the otter saw Solomon, she jumped and called Solomon and said, "Can you come please, Solomon? We have an altercation here. This Miss Deer, trembled on my children. But I told him to say, take off my children." So they went to Solomon. And Solomon said, "What happened?" He said, "Your Highness, I wish to bring a complaint against the deer, for he has slain my offspring." "Your offspring? That's a serious charge," said Solomon, putting down his goblet of wine. He was drinking wine. "Let's hear what the deer has to say." Solomon summoned the deer and asked if the charge was true. "Yes," said the deer, "it was true. I caused their death. I agree. But I wasn't really to blame. The woodpecker had sounded the war gong. The woodpecker beat the war gong. So I was duty bound to perform the war dance, in the course of which this unfortunate accident occurred. When I heard the woodpecker beating the war gong, I was prepared. So I was just dancing. That's my duty when we were preparing for war." Solomon summoned the woodpecker and asked if he had sounded the war gong. Solomon said, "You are lying, you dear. I will call the woodpecker and ask if what I'm telling that the woodpecker did, if you would agree. Let me call the woodpecker." And the woodpecker was called Chigogoze Chadaniwa. And so Solomon said, do you know the story?" The woodpecker said, "Yes, of course. For I had spotted the lizard." The woodpecker said, "I saw the lizard, and he was wearing his sword. So I assumed war was at hand." Solomon summoned the lizard and asked if he had donned on his sword. The lizard said, "Indeed I did," said the lizard, "for I saw that the turtle had donned his armor. Ndaona kamba ini armor. Then I thought the war had started, so I went to pick my sword." So Solomon summoned the turtle, the tortoise or turtle, and asked why he had donned his armor. And the tortoise said, because I saw the crab carrying his pike, said the turtle. Solomon summoned the crab and asked why he had been carrying his pike. Because I saw the crayfish bearing his lance, said the crab. Solomon called the crayfish and asked why he had been bearing his lance. For a good reason, said the crayfish. I had spotted the otter. I made him otter. I saw made him otter swimming along the river on his way to devour my offspring. I saw otter in the river going towards the direction where my offspring were. So I had to protect them. Solomon turned to the otter and said, alas, he said to her, you yourself were the cause of this tragedy through a chain of events. The deer cannot be blamed. The otter looked at Solomon in disbelief. I brought about my children's demise. So whatever we do, sometimes this is called measure for measure. So whatever we do, through so many events, some things are done in 1980. Now the results are coming now. When you plant a tree in front of your yard, don't expect it to germinate tomorrow. You can germinate after 10 years. So we need to be very careful on what we do in this life. Very, very careful on our interactions, on our relationships with other people, how we relate with other people. We need to use emotional intelligence and to be good to other people, to be nice to other people. Whatever we are doing, even with the environment, must not be harsh on the environment. So that is our topic today on measure for measure. Whatever you want other people to do, until you do the same unto them in a very positive way. We are living in this world today. We found this world very productive, and God had created this world in its pristine, in its originality, and au natural. So what is important for us is to have harmony and peace and balance with everyone, so that we live in a world of peace and harmony in Tikkun Olam. Thank you so much. Amen, amen, amen.